Coming up on Mountain News this morning, there are more developments in the case of Amber Spradlin as accusations of a murder for hire plot swirl. And there's debate in Kentucky after Governor Beshear's recent executive order that banned conversion therapy.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News This Morning.
Good morning, I'm Amelia Lee at 6:27 and today's date is September 19th. It's time to check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast. And Tim, I'm excited for those fall-like temperatures, but I know that we have a lot of time with this summer heat still.
Low and mid 80s. I think we can deal with that and a slightly to moderately humid feel to the air, Amelia, but I know what you're talking about. Cool, crisp mornings, cup of coffee, cup of hot chocolate, watching fog burn off. We'll deal with that, right? Well, we're going to probably have to deal with this now over the next couple of mornings, and I think each morning moving forward, I think the fog becomes less of a problem for a number of us, but still this morning, a lot of us waking up to visibility less than a mile. So pedal off the metal, take your time as you make your way across eastern and southern Kentucky this morning. Temps not bad. We're all in the 60s right now, minus Clintwood. And yeah, if we could see this, because of the fog right now, we do have a deck of clouds moving above us, but high pressure here. Firm control. It's one of the reasons why the fog is formed and one of the reasons why it's so thick this morning. Well, guess what? It's burned off by about 9:30 the latest. And for black gold this afternoon, looking fabulous. Yeah, a bit humid, but nonetheless, we'll take it. 84 because it's rain-free this afternoon. More about the bus stop forecasts in a few moments. Amelia?
Tim, thank you. The Whitley County Grand Jury returned indictments for a mother and her boyfriend who faced charges in a little girl's death. Court records show Denisha Martin, the mother of the girl who died, was indicted on a complicity to murder charge. Darius Wade was indicted on several charges, including murder. Martin's 10-year-old went on a moped ride on I-75 in Whitley County with Wade in August. Police say he was drunk. An SUV crashed into them, killing the child. A teenager has died following a crash that involved a bicycle in Madison County. The crash happened Tuesday night after 18-year-old Jared Van Winkle was hit by a car while he was riding his bike. Van Winkle was reportedly riding his bicycle on Mount Vernon Road near the Rockcastle County line. The coroner says Van Winkle was heading south. It's not known if the driver of the car will face charges. Yesterday's regular meeting of the Floyd County Fiscal Court came with a slew of public comments as the family of Amber Spradlin and members of the Justice for Amber group gathered with questions for the fiscal court. WYMT's Buddy Forbes was there.
The family of Amber Spradlin is asking questions about a phone call, but this time it is not about the 911 calls from the night of her murder.
The county judge executive has in his possession a recorded phone call from the jail, which he has absolutely no authority to have, and he's been playing it for people in the community in an effort to slander my reputation.
Spradlin's cousin, local Dr. Debbie Hall, says she received a phone call in May from an inmate at the Floyd County Detention Center. The caller wanted help getting bail money, but she says she declined and made a joke about Spradlin's accused murderer, M.K. McKinney, joining them soon.
And he's alleging that I was trying to arrange a murder for hire in the jail, which is absolutely ridiculous.
When asked about the call during Wednesday's meeting of the fiscal court, Williams said he did receive a copy of the call, but it is not something he sought out.
The zip drive was dropped off at my office, and I don't know where the call is.
And he says he has not been sharing it with the community, but he thinks Hall should.
The call needs to be played publicly and let folks hear it. The call was given to me. It was not given through the county jail. The jailer did not give it to me.
He says he did not hear anything about a murder for hire plot until Hall mentioned it at the court meeting, and he does not believe the call contains anything that would suggest that idea. He says it is just more gossip coming from the tragic event.
And I don't know that our community is going to recover from what's happened here. I mean, this has been a 15, 16-month nightmare, but now what folks have to realize is there's been an arrest. Now they're moving into phase 2.
Still, Hall and Williams agree on one thing, saying the jail needs to look into what happened. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Spradlin supporters say they will continue to show up for the family as concerns are raised, and they hope to see everything come to light as justice is served. A grand jury has charged a Williamsburg man in a child sexual exploitation case. Tanner Petrie was charged on 32 counts of distribution of matter portraying a minor in a sexual performance. The charges has come following Petrie's arrest earlier this year. This reportedly took place between April of last year and June of this year in Whitley County. 5 people were arrested on drug trafficking indictments in Harlan County. The Harlan County Sheriff's Office says Robert Brown, Jeffrey Browning, Simon Bowman, Kenneth Smith, and Clarence Cox were all taken into custody. All 5 men face multiple charges, including trafficking in a controlled substance or trafficking in a simulated controlled substance. Simon Bowman has been released from the Harlan County Detention Center. Governor Beshear signed an executive order to ban the use of conversion therapy on minors in Kentucky. He says the practice, which tries to change a person's sexual orientation or gender identity through counseling, is harmful to children. Mariah Kandango was there as the order was signed and has more from both sides.
To me, it's not even about gender or sexuality. It's about protecting our youth from an inhumane practice that hurts them.
Governor Andy Beshear cited various psychologists and mental health providers in his speech, saying conversion therapy has no basis in medicine and no basis in science.
Today's action does not force an ideology on anybody. It does not expose anyone to anything in a library or a school. It simply stops a so-called therapy that the medical community says is wrong.
Governor Beshear says the ban, effective immediately, will do 2 things: prohibit state and federal funds to pay for conversion therapy, and will ensure professionals who attempt to deliver this care are appropriately sanctioned by their licensing board.
We know the best thing we can do as mental health providers is to affirm the identity of the kids in our care.
Beshear says research has shown that such therapy leads to increased risk of suicide, anxiety, and depression. Supporters in the room, including members of the Fairness Campaign and conversion therapy survivors, praised Beshear for taking such action. As Governor Beshear was signing the executive order as a pledge to fight for every citizen, the room was met with opposition.
What this is perpetuating is this lie and the ideology that someone can be something different from their biological sex. God has made us a certain way, and we need to come to conformity with that.
Jerry Doris and Tim Tyso say this order denies the First Amendment by silencing anyone who would offer a different and perhaps more beneficial path to a child.
We believe children are being harmed by the truth being kept from them.
Mariah Conjito, WKYT.
Governor Beshear says he still hopes to get legislation passed by the General Assembly on this topic. The Interim Joint Committee on Education continues to review materials that would fall under a college or university's diversity, equity, and inclusion work. In July, lawmakers heard from Morehead State and Northern Kentucky. On Tuesday, they called up several more university presidents to testify, including UK President Eli Capilotto. Capilotto says they are changing job descriptions and refraining from political statements.
Since you're not eliminating any positions, is my understanding, will this just be a rebranding?
Do you have some kind of concerns, or whether you think this is in the best interest of UK?
Capilotto responded, saying he worried about legislation infringing upon academic freedoms and took these steps for the university. He also says there were roughly 15 positions in the Office of Institutional Diversity, but the university did not cut jobs amid its disbanding. Governor Andy Beshear is set to host a Team Kentucky briefing later today. That will take place at 12:30 in Frankfort. Governor Beshear will update folks in the Commonwealth about several topics, including economic development and the state's response to natural disasters, as well as severe weather. A new home was unveiled today for a Lincoln County woman who lost parts of both arms and legs to a rare infection last year. The home was built in just 10 days in Stanford. It's for Cindy Mullins, who suffered 4 amputations because of a kidney stone infection in December of last year. 300 volunteers and hundreds of thousands of dollars in donations made it possible to construct the home. It's 7,000 square feet and was built in just a week and a half.
I was like, there ain't no way. I didn't really know. But seeing all these people, all these contractors, I mean, there's people from every walk of life here. A lot of people are competitors working side by side to do this.
The home has several smart features and allows for control of appliances and fixtures by voice command. It was designed and built especially for the needs of Mullins. The Pike County Health Department and Pikeville Fire Department are hosting a car seat check event. The event will be later today from 2 until 4 at the Pikeville Walmart. The event is part of Child Passenger Safety Week. Nationally certified technicians will be on site to help with things such as ensuring car seats are safe and secure and to provide recommendations on car seats that are best for your car and your child.
And coming up on 6:38 here on your Thursday morning, locally, yes, some clouds. The bigger story is the fog this morning. Visibility's less than a mile in a number of locations, but high pressure, one of the reasons why we have the fog forming this morning, is the reason we're also going to enjoy a beautiful afternoon. Check it out on the bus stop right now. Dealing with the low clouds and fog, 61. And yes, the funky symbol represents fog, so needless to say, the fog will be a widespread issue this morning up until maybe 9:30. Then it burns off to a lot of sunshine. Mid-70s at the lunch hour will top out at 84 in Hazard this afternoon. Going to Black Gold this afternoon. Make sure you hydrate throughout the day. We always say it for the athletes as well. Soccer, football, that's outside, right? Volleyball's inside. Got to do the same thing. We'll talk about how long this summertime feel in the air continues with the ARH First Alert 7-day forecast in a few moments. Amelia?
Thank you, Tim. Now to the latest in the case of exploding pagers and most recently walkie-talkies in Lebanon. Dozens are dead and thousands injured in this latest escalation in tensions in the Middle East. And a warning that some of what you're about to hear may be disturbing to some viewers. CBS's Jared Hill has the latest.
At a funeral for people killed by exploding pagers in Lebanon. Another blast Wednesday, part of a second round of explosions. This time, according to eyewitnesses, it was walkie-talkies carried by members of Hezbollah, which the U.S. considers a terrorist group. The explosions went off in cities and towns across Lebanon. According to the country's health ministry, 20 people were killed and more than 450 injured in Wednesday's attack. The death toll from the exploding pagers used by Hezbollah rose to at least a dozen, including 2 children, nearly 3,000 injured.
We started seeing people all blown up, eyeballs ruptured, abdomen open, bones out, thighs open. It was very terrible.
Hezbollah has accused Israel of turning thousands of its communications devices into deadly explosives. Yesterday, Israel's defense minister said he believes they're at the start of a new phase in the war, but officials haven't commented directly on the attacks in Lebanon. In Israel this morning, the families of hostages being held in Gaza took to the streets to voice concerns over the latest escalation. Back in the U.S., the White House says it's too soon to tell if this latest escalation will impact efforts to get those hostages home and reach a ceasefire agreement.
Sadly, we aren't any closer to that now than we were even a week ago.
Meanwhile, questions remain about exactly where the pagers and walkie-talkies were made and when they were turned into weapons. Jared Hill, CBS News.